Okay, quick 5 to 7 minute video on evaluating algebraic expressions. Now, we've talked about what expressions are. They have no equal sign. We've talked about some of the vocabulary associated with expressions, whether it's coefficients, constants, variables, and all the operations that go with them. Now, how do we figure them out? How do we find out how much they're worth? Quick summary. Basically, we're going to be given a value for each variable, and you're going to plug in what that value is into the expression itself, okay? So let's start out. Let's take a step back. What does it mean to evaluate an algebraic expression? Really simply, it means, there's a clue right here, value. It means to find the value of the expression, to find how much it's worth. How much is it? What kind of numbers are we talking about? Okay? Now, to find that value, we change the expression by, like I said, substituting the variables of the expression, in other words, the letters or symbols, for numbers. Again, to find the value of an expression, we change the expression by substituting the variables for actual numbers. Okay? So in other words, you're going to have an expression, and then next to that expression, or at the end of the question, they're going to say, what is the value of this expression? Or evaluate the following expression when a equals 4, or when x equals -3, and so on. So before we do a couple examples, when substituting for variables, we have to follow these steps. Let's say, replace the variable with the correct number. So first you replace each variable with the correct number that's been assigned to it according to the question. Again, pause this video at any time if you need to write this down. And then secondly, we solve it. You solve it like you would any other problem. It really will turn into an order of operations problem. The last thing we did for Unit 1. It'll turn into one of those problems once you replace the variables. Okay? So let's do a couple practice. Number 1 says, evaluate the following expression when a equals -1 and b equals -6. And the expression below reads 7a plus 5b. 7a plus 5b, and they've told us that a equals -1 and b equals -6. So here's what we're going to do. Instead of a, we're going to put -1 in. So 7a, a equals -1, so we're going to rewrite it like this. 7 times -1 plus 5b, and b equals -6, they've told us. So we'll rewrite this as 5 times -6. Because anytime we have these coefficients right next to the variable, that means we're multiplying. So this expression has turned into 7 times -1 plus 5 times -6. And then it's as simple as order of operations. Let's multiply first. 7 times -1 gives us -7 plus 5 times -6 gives us -30. Now, if we think of our number line, you need a long one. If you begin at -7 and you add a negative number, that's the same thing as subtracting. So we're going to be going back further to the left on our number line. We begin at -7 and we subtract 30 more. We're going to end up at -37. And we've just evaluated the expression. Let's do example number 2. It says, evaluate the following expression when x equals 5 y equals 2 and z equals -4. When we first start practicing, we're going to be using expressions that just involve one variable, maybe two. This is getting a little bit harder, but when you can do this, you know you can do all of them. X equals 5, y equals 2, and z equals -4. Okay, let's plug in our 5 instead of x. So this changes to 5 squared plus, what was y? 2 minus, z was -4. We're going to put a -4 in. Okay, now notice what I did. It would have been easy for z to just put in a 4 because we already have this subtraction sign right here. This is a mistake we often make. But you have to put in, where it says z, you have to put in exactly what they give you for z. Everything else about the problem remains the same. We have to keep the subtraction sign. And then just for z, we're going to make sure we put in a -4. So we end up subtracting a -4 for z. Make sure we pay attention to those addition and subtraction and positives and negative symbols. Okay, 5 squared plus 2 minus -4. Now, order of operations problem. Let's do our exponent first. We get 25 plus 2. And let's go ahead and change it now. We know that when we subtract a negative number, we're really adding. So let's change this to plus 4. And now all this is addition. 25 plus 2 equals 27 plus 4. And then finally our answer is going to be 27 plus 4, or a total of 31. And that's what we get when we evaluate that expression. So go ahead and flip over to your guided practice sheet. There's going to be a few of these examples for you to work through on the other side.